They are going to show some practice for the deep learning model using the MNIST data and nuclear medicine imaging data. So previously I uploaded some files, with Python notebook, so you can upload your data from this Google Colab. So first one is MNIST data, which is a handwritten data. So we will develop some convolutional neural network model to discriminate handwritten images. So let's do these things. Okay. So for deep learning models, the deep learning models are run on the GPU rather than CPU. So firstly, you should change the runtime. This is Korean language, but you can find some menu from here, runtime, and you can change the runtime types to from CPU to GPU in here. So this is Python 3, and before the setting, this hardware accelerator will be done. However, you should change to GPU like this. So this is all you need to do, and just to start this course with the Shift plus Enter. So before we start, there is some basic Python code. As you see before, this variable can be easily defined like this. And this is very simple examples. So we can start with this point. There are several types of the deep learning softwares, but we will use some TensorFlow and combined with the Keras. This Keras is a high-level wrapper to deal with the TensorFlow, because TensorFlow is very low-level language, so we should code all of them. However, Keras is very simple language. Just to build a convolutional neural network model, we can build with Keras with very simple coding. So this import language, it means the loads the predefined packages. So first language is this one. So after that, this means the loading of the MNIST data. So MNIST data is a handwritten digit, like this one. So there are 60,000 of examples of training set and 10,000 of the examples of the test sets. So there are 10 types of the numbers, which is handwritten. So we should, the purpose of the MNIST data is the computer program to automatically differentiate the handwritten digits. So it's not difficult problem for us. However, this is really difficult for the computer before the era of the deep learning. So the first model is based on the LUNET, which is one of the first model of the convolutional neural network, which is more than 10 or 15 years. But from this our coding, we will develop some modified version of LUNET to classify the MNIST data. So there are several types of the convolutional layers, and between these two convolutional layers, we will insert subsampling layer, which is a max pooling. So actually this MNIST data consists of the matrix. The matrix size is 28 and 28. So this is the axis consists of 28 boxes, 28 pixels. But to train this data, we should reshape these types of the matrices. because there are 60,000 of the data, so we will load all of the MNIST data to the memory with the reshaping like these matrices. So the first dimension is the samples, number of the samples, and the second dimension is regarding regard to the pixel numbers of the x-axis, and the second one is y-axis, and the last one is just 1. This means the channel. For MNIST data, it's black and white images, so the channel will be 1. However, for natural images, there are 3 channels, red, green, and blue channels. So for the natural images, there are 3 channels, so the data shape will be batches, and x-axis and y-axis, and 3 channels. And for 3D images like PET or MRI, we should reshape our matrix to like this. First dimension is samples, and second channel is x-axis, and third channel is y-axis, and fourth channel is z-axis, and the last channel is channel. Sometimes we can deal with some multi-channel MRI, for example T1 and T2 and other types of diffusion radiated imaging. With one deep learning model, then we can use some different channels in here. So this is the basic of the data shaping. So we will load the MNIST data from this code. So there, download the MNIST data, and this is one of the example with the 50,000 training images. As you can see here, this is the x-axis consists of 28 pixels, and y-axis consists of 28 pixels. And we can easily find that this is number 3. So the label, Y-train means the label of this X-train imaging. So this 5,000 of the training data will be 3. So it is labeled as 3. So there are pairs of 60,000 of the pairs of training data and 10,000 of the test data. So if you change this number, for the first case of the training image is number 5. And as you can see here, the labeling is number 5. So this is the training data. And the shape of the data is like this. This is the number of the samples and x-axis and y-axis. And this is the test data. But as I mentioned before, we should change these shapes to image number and x-axis when y-axis and channel. So just we add this channel with number 1, just 1. So this is the language. This is the code for the reshaping. So now it will be changed to this one. So this is the first thing to pre-process this data. And generally, for developing the deep learning model, we changed all of these images that ranged from 0 to 1. Generally, for the natural images, they have some integral data. For example, let's take a look at this data. This is the first data, and as you can see here, this is the array, and this is the background, and this is the starting point of the number matrix in here, maybe somewhere in here. And this is 30, 36, and it's ranged from the 250. So we changed this matrix to range from 0 to 1. So we change this data is divided by 250 and 50. So this is the thing for the pre-processing of this data. So let's take a look at these things. So there's 60,000 of the training samples, and pre-processed with divided by 255. Okay, and the second pre-processing is the label. MNIST output is 10 classes, and each output have one of the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. However, these things are not continuous variable. We need the classes. So we should change these things to the class encoding, which names one-hot encoding. For example, for 0, we can represent as a classification as like this one. This is the label with 0, and this is related to the label of the 1 and 2. So 1 will be represented by like this, and 2 will be represented like by 0, 0, 2, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, like this one. So we should change this label to write this one, one-hot encoding. This is what we should do. So it's very simply performed by some the language on the keras. So this is done. So if you want to see these changing things, will be changed to like this one. Previously, first one is number 5, then after the one-hot encoding, change it to this one. Okay, so after the pre-processing, we build a convolutional neural network model. This is one of the simple cases. First layer is convolutional layer with 2 dimensions, and the second layer is subsampling layer, which named max split. So this is the convolutional layer. First image you have, for this case, 28, and 1 channel, like this, generate these images. And for the first convolutional layer, we can define some number of filters and filter sizes. And padding and strides, I will explain later. The important thing is these 2 things. So for the first channel, a convolutional layer will be applied to this one. Then this convolutional layer calculates some output like this one. For example, this is the convolutional layer, 1 convolutional filter, and it calculates these original images and generates some output like this one. Just calculate and solve these filters, then generate some output in here. And these filters, the number of filters are total filters of the numbers. So this number of the after the applying to this number of filters, the output number will be increased to this one. So and the filter size is the size of the filter. For this case, 3 by 3 filter. So after the application of the 3 by 3 filter, the output will be 26 by 26, and after the number of filters. And after the training, the deep learning model runs these filters. This is the example of the numbers. However, after training, this will be changing. And these images are not changed because this is the input image. So just the trainable parameters are the numbers of the filters in here. So first layer, we set the filter number is 32, and the corner size means the filter size. So we will use 3 by 3 filters, and this activation layer means after the passing from these corners, convolutional corners, we can apply the activation layer, which is this is the rectified linear unit. I previously mentioned last week, and input shape is the shape of the inputs of the images. For this case, 28 by 28. And the max split layer is somewhat simple. this is the summarizing images. For example, if we have 28 by 28 images, and after the max pooling layer, they found some maximum numbers for this 2 by 2 pixels. For example, for 2 by 2 pixels have such number, then max pooling layer just generates some output like this one. So max pooling layer will generate this 28 by 28 images to 14 by 14 images. So this will reduce the training parameters after using this max pooling or min pooling layers. So we will apply this max pooling layer, and after the max pooling layer, we will apply additional convolutional layer. So it will generate 64 two-dimensional images, and followed by max pooling layer. And this flatten layer means the flattening of the images. So for example, if we have some 10 by 10 images with number of filters, so if we have 60 hidden layer outputs, then this output will be changed to 10 by 10 by 60. So it will be 6,000 of the data, linear data. This is the flattened layer. After that, we will apply the dense layer. It means fully connected layer. This 60 layer will be connected to another dimension of the features. For this case, 128 hidden layers. And after that, finally, it will be connected to number of classes. For this case, for 10 classes. This 10 classes means number 0, number 1, number 2. So the output will be related to the probability of the 0 or 1 or 2 or 3. So the last layer, the activation is softmax, which means the sum of the 10 classes to be 1. So each output represents the probability of the number. So you can figure out after this training. So this is the model summary. So the first layer is convolutional layer, and the next layer is a max pooling layer, which reduces the dimensions. And third layer is another convolutional layer. And after the flattening, the number of filters will be these images will be shaped to the linear shape. And after the dense layer, it will be connected to the fully connection. And finally, it connected to 10 outputs. So this is the compilation of the images, compilation of the model. And this is a training code. So we will input pre-processed train data and the output data, and there are some parameters, model parameters for the training. Okay. So they iterate this 60,000 of samples for 7 times, and you can monitor the loss function and the accuracy. So after the several times of iteration, the accuracy will be increased. So after the 7 times of the iteration, the validation accuracy reaches more than 96% with this simple model. So we developed very simple convolutional neural network model to differentiate the handwritten digits. So this is the model accuracy. So after several times of the iteration, it reaches almost to the 96%, and this is the model loss. So this is an example of the output of the predicted model. This is the prediction And let's take a look at this test data. This is the first data of the test image.
So,
Okay.
so training and validation.
Mm-hmm.
In training and validation, it is
Yeah.
the system divides them into train set and validation set.
Yeah, right.
Only two sets.
Yeah, only two steps. So after training, this is the prediction of the model. So if you have some another handwritten data you have, then just input this in here, then they will predict the probability of your data. So as you can see in here, the highest probability located in here. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the percentage of this image represents 7 is more than 99%. So this is a very simple example. Maybe there is some difficulty in some coding. However, you will figure out what goes on. So do you have any question about this first practice? Okay, then let's move on to the second case. Second practice is the real case of the FP-CIT SPECT image using the convolutional neural network model. This is very similar with previous MNIST data. However, it's just to deal with the SPECT data. And it's different from the image dimension because SPECT is three-dimensional data, so it's somewhat larger than the MNIST data. However, it's not different actually. Okay, so this is the purpose of this deep learning model is to differentiation between the Parkinson's disease from the normal control of the SPECT images. So the data was downloaded from the PPMI, which is a publicly available data. It consists of FP-CIT SPECT images with around more than 500 of the data sets. So I randomly divided these data into the training set and the test set. And the matrix size of this data is like this one, 91 by 109 by 91. So we can change these images as a pre-processing, like this one. Image input will be 5 dimensions. First one is samples, and the x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. And the last one is channel. And the output will be just one dimension, because just the purpose of this model is to differentiate SPECT images as normal or Parkinson's disease. So the last layer, last output, represents the probability of the Parkinson's disease. So this is the brief introduction of this data. So I uploaded this FP-CIT data on the Dropbox. So this is the coding for the wget is a Linux language. So you can download it in the Google Colab.
How many patients this one? This data for how many patients?
As I mentioned before, there are 494 training sets and 55 test sets. So this is the baseline FP-CIT SPECT for the PPMI here. So the download is done. And
Can we apply the same model for PIT?
sorry?
Can we apply the same model for PET also. PET.
PET?
Yeah,
No,
PET
this is
that
PPMI data collected just SPECT images.
SPECT.
Yeah, no PET data. But there are some MRI data, T1 structure, T1 MRI data. So maybe I uploaded this Python notebook data on the Dropbox, but you should enter the password here like this. So you should memorize this one. Actually, this means Seoul National University Hospital in the Korean language. Yeah, maybe you can remember in your computer because to log on ID is like this. So you should input password in here. Okay, maybe unzipping were done. And to load this data, we use this language like this. And after the loading data should change it to training and test success. And I already pre-processed this data to data reshaping like this one. And also I already pre-processed these images to have from the 0 to 1 ranges. So training set, we have 5 dimensions like this. And test set, we have just 1 dimension. Because just 1 means Parkinson's disease, and 0 means the normal control. So let's take a look at this example. So this is the second case, and this is the third case, because it is Python language is started from the number 1 is from the 0. So the second case was Parkinson's disease. So we easily identify this SPECT, FP-CIT SPECT is abnormal. And this is number 2, the third data is the control. So FP-CIT SPECT uptake is almost normal in the structure. So we were trying the deep learning model to differentiate these two types of the images. So it's very similar task for the MNIST data. So just call this class layer, and the image dimension is this one, and we will reconstruct some convolutional layer like this one. Previously, we used 2D convolutional layer, but for this SPECT images have 3 dimensions, so uses 3D convolutional layer. And first one is filter size, so it will generate 16 output from this image data. And this is the filter size, because this is 3-dimensional convolutional layer, so the filter size will have some volume. So it is 3 by 3 by 3 convolutional layer, consists of 27 trainable parameters for this convolutional layer. And we will use another parameter, strides. Strides means the jumping cascade. For example, for 2-dimensional cases, if there are some 28 by 28 images, for the first convolutional layer will be applied to here, and this convolutional layer applied to here and here. So this is the no stride convolutional layer. However, if we have some special number of the stride, then first layer will be applied here, and the second operation will be occurred in here, not in here. So stride means a jumping convolution to reduce the learning parameters, because SPECT images are typically blurred images, so we did not apply the convolutional layer to all the images. Just jumping convolution also gives us very good performance without very reduced trainable parameters. And after the stride convolutional layers, we also additional convolutional layer like this, additional backspring layer, and several types of convolutional layer. And after that, we will apply the flattening to change this image data to the linear shape. And after that, we will we added additional fully connected layer, and the final output will have one dimension. It's just one dimension to differentiate the Parkinson's disease and normal control. So this last output represents the probability of this SPECT images is whether Parkinson's disease or normal control. So after the develop the model, let's take a look at this model summary. So the input is 91 by 109 by 91 3D volume images, and after the strided convolutional layer, the output will be changed to like this. And the second convolutional layer and the max pooling layer changes this image to smaller volume, and the flattening layer changes these volumes to the linear shape. And finally, you connect it to just one layer. So this is another example of the summary of this model. Okay, then compile these models. And let's train 10 times. So this is the first accuracy, and after the iteration, the accuracy will be increased. So after the 10 times of the iteration, it almost reaches 96% to differentiate the SPECT images of Parkinson's disease from the normal control using the validation data. So this is the graph. After the iteration, the model accuracy is remarkably increased. And this is the test sample. So for the first case, it was Parkinson's disease, and the probability was 97%. This is for the Parkinson's disease. And fourth case was control, and the probability of the Parkinson's disease is just 31%. So it can accurately predict these SPECT images as a control and Parkinson's disease. And according to this paper, this model was better than me to differentiate Parkinson's disease versus normal control. So I think it's not a difficult thing, but it was accepted in the a paper in the journal during clinical 2 years ago. So if we have some relatively large data, large nuclear medicine imaging data, so we can easily develop such kind of the classification model. 이거 중단됐다는데 어디로 가야 돼요?
2층 교수실로.
Okay, then. Okay, then the last one is the super resolution. It's a very interesting example. Image super resolution is a very simple idea. We have some low resolution images, such as for PET or SPECT, or sometimes we will meet this kind of images in your Facebook or in Instagram, but we can recover these images into high resolution images using the beam running. This is recent cutting edge techniques. However, the deep learning model to generate the image per resolution is not that difficult. But the state of the art is much more difficult thing. However, very simple model produces very good result also. So we will use some publicly available data, which consists of the face data. So we will, to generate some low resolution images, we will change this face data to the low resolution image. This face data consists of 128 by 128 images, natural images. However, we will simply reduce this image resolution using any other softwares. So we will reduce these images to 64 to 64, and we will resize these images to 128 by 128. And the object of the deep learning model is trained to recover this original high resolution data from this resized images to this one. This is what deep learning model wants to do. And we will apply this deep learning model to our low resolution face images. So this is the code. And this is the publicly available face data uploaded by some Cornell or other university. The data name is Celeb A. The data size is more than 1 gigabyte. However, it's very fast down here. And by unzipping this one, okay. Maybe it consists of more than 100,000 of the face images. But we will just use 10,000 of image data from this celebrity face image data. It's a long time. some errors occurred in this Google Colab. Or okay, we'll restart this. Okay, this is all the images are downloaded, and we will call this face image data like this one, and we will change this images data to the NumPy array using this code. And this training data consists of 10,000 of the images, and the test image data consists of 100 images. So this is the example of the training data. So there are some celebrity faces of the celebrity in here. So this is a 6 images of the training data. So we will generate the low resolution images. This image consists of 128 pixels by 128 pixels. And we will change these images to 64 by 64 images and recover these images to 128 by 128. It will generate some blurred images, low resolution images. So this is the code to generate the low resolution images. So take a look at these low resolution images. So this was the first image. It is very sharp. However, after changing to the low resolution image and recover these images to the high resolution images to find some blurred images like this one. So the convolutional neural network model will be developed to recover these images to original images. This is a super resolution algorithm. So the algorithm, the architecture of deep learning model is very simple. Just uses several layers of the convolutional layer. Just using the convolutional layer with 32 or 64 number of filters applied, then it will generate some final output to 3 channels. So this is the brief example of the multiple convolutional layer to generate the high resolution image. So first input is low resolution image by 128 by 128. And after the convolutional layer and multiple times of the same convolutional layer, the final output will be 128 and 128. So the training objective is to find some parameters of this convolutional layer to find some to recover this low resolution image to high resolution image. So this is a very simple. And the final output is this is a predicted output, and here is the real high resolution image. Then this model optimized by the minimize the error between the predicted high resolution image and the real high resolution image. And the loss is defined by mean squared error. So it minimizes the distance between these images. This is the objective of this deep learning model. So this is the convolutional layer, vertical convolutional layer.
So my question.
Mm-hmm.
So we can start from the low resolution image. We don't need the first one, the first step.
Sorry?
If we have data
Mhm.
with really low resolution image,
Mhm.
so we can derive from this directly into the high resolution image.
You mean?
Or should we have like the high resolution, low
Yeah,
resolution,
so-
then high resolution?
Yeah, so the training samples, we can generate some low resolution images. It's very easy because we can downsample the high resolution images. The training is there are two sets of the images from the low resolution image and high resolution image. But changing of the high resolution image from the high resolution image to low resolution is irreversible. However, deep learning model it tries to this irreversible one. And then after training, we can use our low resolution image data without the high resolution image to recover these images. So this is the model, multiple layers. And as I mentioned before, this is a loss function. Objective function is mean squared error, and we will train these images 7 times iteratively. And validated on the 100 samples.
So what do you mean by the number of iteration here?
Mm-hmm.
Number of iteration here.
The number of iteration is we have 10,000 of training data. First, we deep learning model for this 10,000 of case generate the predicted output. And from the difference between the real data and the predicted data, the training parameters, the convolutional filters are updated by these errors. This is one iteration. And after that, this 10,000 images are in the second epoch. These images are reanalyzed by these firstly trained convolutional layers, and they also generate some predicted output here. And also, secondly, they also calculate the error. And by using these errors, these convolutional layers are updated. And the third epoch, it also generates some outputs and predicts some errors and updated the parameters of the convolutional layers. These training processes are iteratively performed more than about 100 times generally. Okay, it will take some times, so we will stop this training, but it will produce some results. So this is the model prediction from the low resolution test data. So this one is low resolution data. We just trained this output just one time. This is some recovered images. You can see here it's blurred, however, it's sharper than previously. So we can unload our low resolution image data. So I prepared some images. Okay. So this image is the Korean actress. So we can unload this data and call this data will generate some low resolution image. However, after the prediction of the model, it will recover these images like this one. So this is an example of the super resolution using deep learning model. So these types of the super resolution is recently applied to the PET or CT or MR images to recover the images from the low dose FDG PET or sometimes low dose CT images to recover the images to the high dose CT or high dose PET images. Okay, so this is 3 cases of the practices. So do you have any questions?
Yeah. So this model, you mean if we like give low dose for FDG uptake and for FDG test, and we can get high resolution using this even,
Yeah, right.
even low dose.
Yeah, there are some 3 or 4 papers regarding the low dose resolution, low dose FDG PET to recover the high dose PET. So for the training, they also use some simulation data of the low dose PET. We generally routine FDG PET data can be reduced to some simulated low dose PET data can be generated from the routine dose PET data. So the deep learning model trains these 2 data, routine dose PET data and the simulated low dose PET data. Then they recover the low dose PET data to the routine dose PET data. And after the training, several times of the training, this deep learning model can generate some realistic high dose data.
Okay. In which stage we make this model, this one after reconstruction imaging or before reconstruction?
Both of them are impossible. Both of them.
Well,
Yeah.
after
Firstly, many papers attempt to try the fully reconstructed PET data. However, recently, many papers tried this deep learning model to the sinogram level to recover this low dose PET data to high dose PET data.
But this one will affect the quantitation.
Affect quantitation?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. However, actually, some noise from the low dose PET data also affects some quantification.
So this will improve the quantification or the overestimate or how it will
I don't think so. However, some papers said that these high resolution techniques can reduce the PET dose to 200 times. So I think it's very innovative. However, there are several steps to convincing this data to routine practice, because this recovery algorithm are sometimes generate some new noise for the edge of the images, some noise we unknown. So we cannot differentiate the unknown noise from the deep learning generated noise.
I have a question also. We will decrease the dose of the FDG activity or also the dose of CT used?
Yeah.
We will decrease the dose of both or only the FDG activity injected?
Yeah, many things are possible. It's actually low dose CT, the recovery of the low dose CT is already possible. And even more, actually, the most important cause of most important objective of the CT acquisition for the PET CT is attenuation correction. But recently, particularly for Jason Lee, also developed some deep learning model to generate the attenuation map from the PET only data. So these types of the PET-based attenuation correction can reduce the requirement of the CT for the PET CT. So it depends on the healthcare purposes. Or sometimes we need some screening purpose of FDG PET, then we don't need CT or high dose PET anymore. We can use low dose PET with recovered by deep learning model, and attenuation correction map can be generated by deep learning. So this will remarkably reduce the PET radiation dose.
So it will defeat this whole body, whole body scan. In
Yeah.
that case.
Yeah, right. So any other questions? Okay, so thank you very much.
Okay,